And now, BillyCBoxing.com presents Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down with Billy C. Here he is, Billy C.
Thank you, Jeremy C. We're coming at you from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for BillyCBoxing.com's Thumbs Up and Thumbs Down for professional boxing for today. December, what's today's date anyway? December 6th in the year 2012. Or is it December 5th? What day is it? I don't even know. I lost track. Today's the 5th. I'm up in it. It's today, December 5th. I'm sorry about that. Before we get started, don't forget about the Fight Now channel. It's a great time to call your local television provider and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. This week we got over 20 hours of additional coverage on the Juan Manuel Marquez Manny Pacquiao #4 fight. So if you've been waiting, this is the time to do it. Call your local television provider now and tell them you want Fight Now. For all information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And don't forget about our show. That's right, the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. We've been doing it for over 10 years. We're getting ready to enter our 11th year, longest-running boxing talk show, whether it's television or radio, contrary to what other people might think, than anyone else. So we're real happy about that, and we want you to be part of that. So check out the show sometime. All the information can be found on the website, www.billycboxing.com. All right, today's thumbs up and thumbs down. We got several of them, so hang tight. Number one, thumbs up goes to Fight Now TV. That's right, Fight Now TV for delivering over 20 hours of programming leading into, during, and after the Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez #4 fight, including yours truly. That's right, tune in right here on Fight Now TV and on BillyCBoxing.com on Friday between 6:30 and 7 p.m. We're going to be doing a post-weigh-in show, and then immediately following the fight on Saturday night, 1 a.m. Eastern Time, you'll be getting the post-fight show right here on Fight Now and BillyCBoxing.com. We got ringside people calling in. We got guests. We're going to open up the phone lines. Be part of it. Thumbs up to Fight Now TV. Thumbs up goes to Sergio Martinez. Why? For scheduling his return to Argentina in April against a pretty tough opponent in Martin Murray. You know, I think this is fitting not only for Sergio, but for the history of Argentine boxing, you know, which seems to have been forgotten. I think this fight will boost boxing and even help inspire young fighters in Argentina to turn pro. You know, lately we've been hearing some, you know, tough fighters coming out of Argentina and everything else. But I think we needed a major fight like this with a major player like Sergio to go to Argentina and do the fight. And it's also not going to hurt too much that it's going to be on HBO, too. So thumbs up to Sergio Martinez and his whole team for making that one happen and returning back to where it all started, man, Argentina. And finally, thumbs up goes to Gabriel. Gabriel. I don't want to. Before I was calling him Gabriel, but it's Gabriel. It's Gabriel Rosado for pushing aside a mandatory title shot against K9 Bundridge, which I think was a very winnable fight for Rosado, and moving up in weight, basically, to take a fight with Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, and a shot at Gennady Golovkin's world title, which is in the middleweight division. I think this is a great move to show how much Gabriel wants to fight, and I give him all the credit and clearly a thumbs up for fighting the fight and not being afraid to fight anybody. Now, I don't agree with the fight. I don't think that now, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't like the fight. I don't agree with the fight. I think that in Triple G's case, which I'm going to get to in a second, there was other options. But as far as Rosado goes, I think it shows that he's a true fighter. I wish all fighters thought like him, and he's willing to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, although other fighters claim that. Rosado is actually doing that. Who knows what's going to happen in that fight, but I have to give Rosado a thumbs up for that one. Now, with that thought, thumbs down. The first thumbs down goes to Team Golovkin. Why? For making that offer to Rosado so good that he couldn't refuse it, and he ended up choosing a junior middleweight to fight instead of a legitimate middleweight, especially after all the BS talk that Team Glockman said after his last fight. He said he was going to fight anybody from junior middleweight up to super middleweight and anyone in between. Blah, blah, blah. Listen, are you telling me that Team Glockman couldn't find any other middleweight willing to fight, a legitimate middleweight willing to fight Triple G? They had to go down a weight class to find a tough guy in Rosado to fight him. And by the way, don't forget, Rosado just moved up in weight. Rosado hasn't been hanging around the junior middleweight division forever. He was a welterweight. So, I mean, what is it with these promoters and these management teams and all of this stuff? They look for all the edge and everything else, and then they try to brag about it. The last time we saw it was with Saul Alvarez, bragging about beating up a little guy in Josito Lopez, and then starting to demand that he wants this guy and that guy. Come on, man. Would you fight the fights if you're truly the fighter? Listen, from a business perspective, you can't knock anybody. You can't knock anybody for making a living. But, if you're going to brag and say you're the best fighter, you're the best middleweight on the planet, then fight a damn middleweight. I mean, come on. I'm sure this fight's going to be good. Their styles seem to be, suggesting that it's going to be a very competitive fight, an entertaining fight. But for me, I wish Triple G would have faced a legitimate middleweight. Thumbs down to Team Triple G. Thumbs down goes to Holly Holm for fighting Diana Prazak. Come on, man. Holly Holm bills herself as women's #1 pound-for-pound fighter, but yet she's fighting a fighter not one, not two, but 3 weight classes below her. Now, you may say, no, Billy C., you're wrong. She's only fighting 2 weight classes below her. Well, that's what the contracted weight is. Holly Holm really is a welterweight, not a junior welterweight. The fight's being contested at junior welterweight. Listen, if Holly Holm was truly a pound-for-pound, she would have went after Chevelle Halbach again to decisively beat her, which she's never done. She could have won a third fight with Anne-Sophie Mathis, which she's never going to do. She's afraid of her. She could have made the fight happen with Cecilia Brækhus, which may not happen because they can't figure out a place to have that particular fight. So, I mean, come on, man. Don't, listen, to win and to fight a fight is one thing, and to fight in front of your hometown and make a living, that's great. But don't tell everybody that you're fighting the best out there because no disrespect to Diana Prazak. She's great as a super feather, but come on, man. 3 weight classes, thumbs down to Holly Holm. And Holly, I love you. This hurts me more than the thumbs down is going to hurt you. But, thumbs down to Holly Holm. And finally, thumbs down goes to Roy Engelbrecht Promotions for actually bragging about having 3 undefeated heavyweights on their card tomorrow. Joe Hanks, who's 20-0, taking on Marenzio Smith, who's 11-3. Vince Thompson, who's 11-0, against Johan Banks, who's 5-7. And we also have a third fighter from Roland Heights taking on Matt Hicks, who's 12-7. They're all going to be nail biters. Come on, man. Look at these guys' records, and you tell me who's who. You tell me if they're going to be competitive fights. And Engelbrecht is bragging about having 3 young, up-and-coming, world-class fighters. Come on, man. This is a joke. This is the same mistake that all promoters are making with their fighters. They coddle them. They feed them cupcakes. They get them up in a position to fight a fight, and then they get beat up and never seen again. It's terrible. It's the only big negative I can collectively point my fingers at for this year in the sport of boxing because it's become so obvious and yet a very resurgent year in the sport of boxing. But thumbs down to Roy Engelbrecht Promotions. Hey, man, that concludes our thumbs up, thumbs down for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Ciao, baby.